We're about to dive into something super important that could save you a world of trouble. We're talking about Singapore, a country known for its pristine streets and next-level efficiency. But that cleanliness and order comes with a side of seriously strict laws that might seem surprising if you're not prepared. Look, I'm all about exploring new places, trying new things, really experiencing a culture. But the last thing you want when you're traveling is to get caught off guard, especially by something that could land you in hot water with the local authorities. Imagine this, you're all stoked to explore the gardens by the bay, grab some amazing street food, soak in the futuristic vibes, and then bam, you're slapped with a hefty fine or even worse, detained because of something you unknowingly packed in your bag. That's why I'm hitting you with this video 10 banned items in Singapore that could ruin your trip. We're talking about things you might not even realize are a big deal, stuff you might even have on you right now. Stick around and let's make sure your trip to Singapore is all about the good times, not the, oh snap, I messed up times. Alright, let's kick things off with a classic chewing gum. I know, it seems harmless, right? A little stick of gum to freshen your breath. But trust me on this one, chewing gum is a no-go in Singapore. We're talking banned, illegal, a one-way ticket to Trouble Town. You see, back in the day, Singapore had a real problem with people spitting out their gum on the streets, sidewalks, even sticking it under tables. It was a mess. The government decided to nip it in the bud and straight up banned chewing gum. Now, there are exceptions. If you've got a medical reason, like you're using nicotine gum to quit smoking, you're good. But for your average, everyday chewing gum, leave it at home. And listen, I'm not saying you're gonna get arrested for popping a single piece of gum. But why risk it? Fines for chewing gum can be steep, and who wants that hanging over their head when you're trying to enjoy the incredible street food scene? Seriously, the food in Singapore is next level, so do yourself a favor, ditch the gum, and let's move on. Next up, we're tackling a topic that's become pretty common in many parts of the world, vaping. But here's the thing. In Singapore, vaping is about as welcome as a swarm of mosquitoes at a picnic. It's a hard no. I'm talking e-cigarettes, vape pens, mods, the whole shebang. They're all illegal. And it's not just using them, it's possessing them, selling them, even bringing them into the country. Singapore takes this stuff seriously. The government is super focused on public health and they see vaping as a serious threat. So, if you're thinking about sneaking your vape into Singapore, think again. Getting caught with one could land you with a hefty fine and nobody wants to be shelling out their hard-earned cash on something like that. Plus, it could even lead to jail time. No vape is worth that kind of hassle, especially when you're in a country with so much to offer. Trust me, the last thing you want is to be stuck inside while everyone else is out exploring. Alright, let's talk about something that might seem a little obvious, but it's important to mention, firecrackers. I know, who doesn't love a good fireworks show? But here's the deal. In Singapore, firecrackers are a big no-no. And I'm not just talking about setting them off in public, I'm talking about possessing them at all. Singapore is all about safety and keeping things under control. They've got these incredible official fireworks displays, especially during holidays like National Day, that'll blow your mind. Seriously, think massive, perfectly choreographed shows over Marina Bay, it's epic. But when it comes to lighting your own firecrackers, don't even think about it. The penalties for possessing or setting off fireworks are severe. We're talking fines, jail time, the whole 9 yards. It's simply not worth the risk. So, leave the pyrotechnics to the professionals and enjoy the official shows. Alright folks, let's get real for a second. We're about to talk about something incredibly serious, drugs. And when I say Singapore has a zero tolerance policy on drugs, I mean zero. No exceptions. No second chances. We're talking about any kind of illegal drug here. Marijuana, cocaine, heroin, amphetamines, you name it. Possession, consumption, trafficking, it's all met with the full force of the law. And the penalties? They're among the harshest in the world, including lengthy prison sentences and even the death penalty. Look, I'm not here to preach or judge, but I am here to tell you the facts. When it comes to drugs in Singapore, the risks are simply too high. It's not worth gambling with your freedom, your future, or your life. So if you're thinking about bringing drugs into Singapore or using them while you're there, my advice is simple, don't. Okay, let's shift gears and talk about something that might seem a bit more low-key, but it's still a big deal in Singapore pirated goods. And I'm not just talking about those knockoff designer bags or watches you find on street corners. I'm talking about any kind of counterfeit or pirated material. Think DVDs, CDs, software, even clothing and accessories. Singapore is fiercely protective of intellectual property rights, and they take counterfeiting very seriously. So if you're caught with a bag full of pirated DVDs or software, don't expect a slap on the wrist. The penalties for dealing with pirated goods can be substantial, including hefty fines and even jail time. And it's not just about buying and selling, even possessing pirated material is illegal. So do yourself a favor and stick to the legitimate stuff. Support the creators, respect the law, and avoid the hassle. Alright, let's talk about something that might seem like common sense, but it's worth emphasizing: weapons. And when I say weapons, I'm not just talking about firearms. I'm talking about anything that could be considered a weapon, even if you think it's for self-defense. Knives, switchblades, brass knuckles, pepper spray, even those cute little keychain kubotans, leave them all at home. Singapore has incredibly strict laws regarding weapons, and even possessing something as seemingly harmless as a pocket knife could land you in serious trouble. The penalties for carrying weapons in Singapore are severe, including hefty fines, imprisonment, and even caning. And trust me, caning is not something you want to experience. So, unless you've got a legitimate reason and the proper permits, don't even think about bringing any kind of weapon into Singapore. It's simply not worth the risk. Alright, let's be real for a second. What's considered obscene can be subjective, right? But here's the thing, in Singapore they're pretty strict about what they consider obscene or pornographic material. And it's not just about hardcore stuff. We're talking about anything that might be deemed offensive or inappropriate. Think magazines, DVDs, even certain books or artwork. Singapore has a reputation for being conservative, and they're serious about maintaining public decency. So, if you're packing your bags for Singapore, it's best to err on the side of caution. Leave the questionable material at home. Getting caught with something deemed obscene could lead to fines, confiscation, and even more serious consequences. So why risk it? Keep it clean, keep it respectful, and enjoy your trip without any unnecessary drama. Alright, this one might seem a little out there, but trust me, it's important: gun-shaped lighters. You know, those novelty lighters that look like tiny pistols or revolvers? Yeah, those are a big no-no in Singapore. I know it might seem harmless, even a little funny. But here's the thing, Singapore takes security very seriously, and anything that resembles a firearm, even a novelty lighter, is going to raise red flags. Imagine pulling out one of these bad boys at a hawker center to light your cigarette. People are going to freak out, and rightfully so. You don't want to cause a panic or get mistaken for someone carrying a real weapon. So, ditch the gun-shaped lighters, stick to a regular lighter or matches, and avoid any unnecessary attention from security personnel. Okay, let's talk about something that should go without saying, but unfortunately it still needs to be said: endangered species products. I'm talking about anything made from endangered or protected animals. Think ivory, rhino horn, tiger bone, shark fin, exotic animal skins, you name it. These items are illegal to buy, sell, possess, or bring into Singapore. Singapore is a signatory to CITES, the Convention on International Trade in Endangered Species, which means they're committed to protecting endangered plants and animals. So if you're thinking about picking up a souvenir made from an endangered species, think again. Not only is it illegal, but it's also incredibly cruel and contributes to the exploitation of these magnificent creatures. Choose ethical, sustainable souvenirs that don't harm animals or the planet. Alright, let's wrap things up with something that's super important for your health and well-being: medications. Now, in general, you're allowed to bring most common over-the-counter medications into Singapore. But here's the catch: some medications, especially those containing controlled substances, require a license. We're talking about certain painkillers, sleeping pills, sedatives, and even some cough syrups. Singapore has strict regulations on these types of medications to prevent abuse and illegal trafficking. So, if you rely on any prescription medications, especially those containing controlled substances, do your research before you go. Make sure you have the necessary documentation, including a doctor's note or a copy of your prescription. It's always better to be safe than sorry when it comes to your health and your legal standing. Check with the Singaporean authorities or your local embassy if you have any doubts. So, there you have it. 10 banned items in Singapore that could seriously mess up your trip. Look, I know it might seem like a lot to remember, but trust me, a little preparation goes a long way. Before you pack your bags, do yourself a favor and check the official Singaporean customs website. They've got all the latest info on prohibited items, and it's always best to get your information straight from the source. And remember, when in doubt, declare it. If you're unsure about something you're bringing into Singapore, it's always better to err on the side of caution and declare it to customs officials. They're there to help and would much rather you ask than try to sneak something through. Singapore is an incredible country with so much to offer. By being aware of the rules and regulations, you can relax, enjoy your trip to the fullest, and avoid any unnecessary stress or legal trouble. So, pack smart, stay informed, and get ready for an unforgettable adventure in the Lion City. Thanks for watching. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.